Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that talks about breeding of terrorism and its impact on South Asian nations. Let's begin with the headlines first. Indian security forces continue elimination of Pak-backed terrorists in Kashmir. Afghanistan peace process remains precarious due to surge in violence. US-based Pakistani national indicted for having allegiance with ISIS. And Pakistan harboring terrorists to unleash mayhem in India. Indian security forces are on a killing spree. They have launched an offensive against the Pak-backed terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. After a major breakthrough on 6th May, when the army gunned down Riaz Naiku, the commander of Hizbul Mujahideen, 4 more terrorists were eliminated this week. After a brief halt owing to the winter season, Pakistan has resumed its despicable agenda of subverting peace in the region by infiltrating more and more terrorists to create mayhem. However, they have just been caught off balance by assertive Indian forces, and their nefarious plans have been blown into ashes. Have a look.
A counter-terrorism offensive aimed at wiping out Pak-backed terrorists from Jammu and Kashmir has gained fresh momentum with the killing of 4 more Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists this week. This comes as a major setback to Pakistan, which has been desperately trying to hamper peace and harmony in the region, but has failed repeatedly in the past few weeks. A change in strategy of operations by Indian security forces lately has yielded it big breakthroughs. They are attacking the core, the leadership of the groups. A similar strategy was adopted when 2 high-profile terrorists were reported hiding in a village of Jammu.
During the search early morning at 7 a.m., we homed in to a particular house from where the terrorists started indiscriminate firing. The encounter continued for 5 hours, and Tahir Ahmed Bhatt of Pulwama, belonging to the Hizbul Mujahideen terror outfit, was killed during the encounter. 1 AK-47 rifle and 2 magazines have been recovered.
These recent bouts of encounters are similar to the Indian Army's Operation All Out of 2019, in which more than 160 terrorists were killed. It is not just one particular corner of the region, but the Indian security forces have been preemptively attacking their enemies in all zones and sectors. Another day, another terror bid foiled, this time in Srinagar.
पिछली रात का जो ऑपरेशन है, इसमें 2 टेररिस्ट मारे गए हैं और दोनों की पहचान हमारे पास आ गई। एक तो श्रीनगर शहर से ही है, जुनेद अशरफ खान, और दूसरा पुलवामा से है, तारिक अहमद शेख.
Pakistan has been rattled by India's offensive mode of operation against its non-uniform soldiers. Magnifying its frustration, Indian Air Chief RKS Bhaduria said that Pakistan should now be very worried for every single terror attack that it plans to carry out the Indian territory.
Whenever there's a terrorist attack on our soil, they should be worried. And they were rightly worried. And they have to stop abetting terrorism if they have to get out of these worries.
In 2019, after the deadly Pulwama attack, the Indian Air Force had carried out an airstrike hitting all the active terror camps of Jaish-e-Mohammed in Balakot. The leadership in the Indian air defense has witnessed a transition since then, but the new chair is even more proactive when it comes to calling shots against the Pak-backed terrorism.
If required to take out any terror camps or launch pads across the LC, are we ready?
Oh, if the situation so demands, of course. We are all ready 24/7.
At a time when the countries are making an integrated approach to face the challenge of pandemic COVID-19, Pakistan still focused on its strategies to spread terrorism across the globe. Pakistani army generals, who are the real masterminds behind most of the terrorism across the globe, believe that the world won't notice their devious plans amid the pandemic outbreak. But to their surprise, not only all of their diabolic activities are being monitored, but being given a befitting reply by the Indian forces.
An expected spell of reprieve in war-torn Afghanistan has suffered a major setback as the country continues to remain a target of terrorists. While at one side, terrorist groups like Islamic State are targeting civilians across Afghanistan, Taliban too have been constantly storming Afghan military bases, causing more atrocities and bloodshed. As a result, the Afghan government has now adopted an offensive posture against the Taliban and has launched counter-terrorism operations against the group. This escalating rate of violence, even after a peace deal, has once again raised concerns regarding the vulnerable situation of Afghanistan amidst the revival of dreaded terror groups on its soil. A report.
Afghanistan has been gripped by a wave of violence. Multiple bomb blasts and shooting incidents are being reported on a daily basis from the war-torn nation. Recently, 8 people were killed when gunmen stormed a mosque in central Afghanistan's Parwan province while worshippers were offering evening prayers during the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. 5 mosque goers were also wounded in this attack. Though no group claimed the responsibility for the attack, but Afghan officials blamed the Taliban for the attack. However, the Taliban promptly denied its involvement in this brutal assault. In the meantime, the Taliban have also ramped up attacks on Afghan security forces. In the latest spate of violence against Afghan security forces, Taliban fighters detonated a car bomb near an Afghan intelligence agency installation in the central province of Ghazni, killing at least 7 people and wounding 40 others. Last week too, 5 civilians were killed and 40 people, including 6 soldiers, were wounded in a Taliban truck bomb blast targeting an army office in the neighboring province of Paktia.
صدای فایر شروع شد تقریبا 10 دقیقه بود که فایر داخل ثقافت فایر بود. ما فکر کردیم اکثر وقت اینجا فایر میکنن، یگان فایر میکنن. ما فکر کردیم که شاید از اون فایرها باشه. بعد از 10 دقیقه بعد یک انفجار بسیار قوی صورت گرفت. یک انفجاری بود که یک رفیق میج استراحت بود، من خودم میج استراحت بودم. همین دروازه پلای دروازه و شیشه کش در سرم ریخته.
Meanwhile, in retaliation to violence, Afghan government has begun counter-terrorism operations against the Taliban. Recently, Afghan security forces successfully repelled a fierce Taliban attack on Kunduz province with the support of Air Force, a strategic city in northern Afghanistan that had briefly fallen to the terrorists twice in the past. According to Afghan officials, Taliban fighters attacked at least 17 outposts of Afghan forces around the city of Kunduz from several directions, triggering fierce fighting. The Afghan Defense Ministry claimed that at least 40 Taliban terrorists were killed and 50 others were wounded in clashes with the security forces. The latest violence follows a declaration by President Ashraf Ghani last week to resume offensive strikes against the Taliban after a string of brutal attacks in the country, including a maternity hospital attack in Kabul, which killed 24 people, with women and babies.
اوربند او سولې لپاره د ولس علماء کرامو، حکومت او نړیوالې ټولنې د بار غوښتنو باوجود لا هم طالبانو له جنگ او افغان وژنې څخه لاس نه دی اخیستی او زموږ په هیوادوالو عوامه ځایونو یې خپل بریدونه زیات کړي دي. نو د هیواد د دفاع د هیوادوالو عوامه تاسیساتو د امنیت او خوندیتوب او د طالبانو او ټولو تروریستي ډلو او ګروپونو د بریدونو او تهدیدونو د دفع کولو او د دوی د ځپلو په موخه د هیواد امنیتي او دفاعي ځواکونو ته دستور کوو چې د دفاعي حالت پر ځای برته تعرضي حالت اختیار کړي او دښمن پر وړاندې خپل عملیات پیل کړي.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Special Representative for Afghanistan Reconciliation, Zalmay Khalilzad, met Taliban leaders in Doha and discussed about counter-terrorism, intra-Afghan talks and the withdrawal of American forces from the country under the peace deal. Taking to Twitter, Khalilzad said, "I held 3 constructive meetings with Mullah Biradar and members of the Taliban Political Commission, emphasized that US-Taliban agreement is interconnected. Counter-terrorism commitments, intra-Afghan negotiations, troop withdrawal and gradual violence reduction leading to a permanent ceasefire." Khalilzad also met President Ashraf Ghani and Chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation Abdullah Abdullah in Kabul and congratulated them on their agreement to form an inclusive government after prolonged negotiations. In a series of tweets, he said, "We discussed next steps required to implement the agreement between the two leaders. On peace, we agreed that violence is much too high and there is a need to move urgently to reduce it by all sides." Zalmay Khalilzad urged that all sides will have to reduce violence in order to begin the stalled peace process.
Unfortunately, the credentials of Taliban and some of the sides are very, very doubtful. And above all, all sides are being supported by Pakistan. So all the militant groups and terrorist groups get in one way or the other patronage from Pakistan. So for them, it is not good that if peace returns to that particular region. Otherwise, US has been wholeheartedly trying for a long time. In fact, India also mediated in between and also wanted to participate.
Khalilzad peace efforts came as the scale of violence has significantly increased in Afghanistan over the past few months. Violence has spiked up since the Taliban signed the peace deal with Washington in February that called for the full withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan within 14 months. According to government officials, the country has witnessed more than 3,800 attacks since the signing of peace deal, which killed 420 civilians and wounded 906. Moreover, the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan told that Taliban was responsible for 208 civilian casualties in April 2020, which is 25% higher than April 2019.
Even after signing the peace deal with America, Taliban in a way has not withdrawn itself from the conflict, and they continue to get engrossed in conflict, and they are continuing to maintain some strikes here and there where they are targeting innocent civilians. What I see is that Taliban is in a way hungry for money. That's true. But the fact is that they are also being pushed by other sides and other terrorist groups, and as well as Pakistan, to create chaos and confusion within that particular region.
The country's conflict is back into full-fledged bloodletting after a brief period of hope that a deal between the United States and the Taliban would open the way for negotiations between the two Afghan sides. Although in the peace deal, the Taliban pledged to reduce violence and prevent Afghanistan's territory from being used by terrorist forces, this constant wave of attacks in Afghanistan has once again raised the concerns about country's future.
Moving on, let's now talk about Pakistan, the nurturing hub of Islamic fundamentalism, which is responsible for promoting hatred and violence the world over. There are many people from Pakistan who have migrated to Europe and United States and have engaged in terror incidents. This has prompted global intelligence agencies to keep an eye over a hidden role of Pakistan in the attempts to use radicals for disturbing peace and harmony. And lately, it has switched tactics from setting off explosives to preparing lone wolves.
While Pakistan's overall growth is slowing down, there is one sector that has achieved an unmatched growth. It's terrorism. While establishing radical schools known as madrasas, Pakistan has registered itself as the biggest exporter of terrorism in the world. The vicious face of Pakistan was recently exposed when a 28-year-old Pakistani doctor and former Mayo Clinic research coordinator Mohammad Masood was indicted by a federal grand jury in the USA for providing material support to Islamic State of Iraq and Al-Sham. Masood has also pledged his allegiance to the extremist Islamic terror outfit and expressed his desire to execute lone wolf terror attacks in the United States.
If you want to change someone's mindset, it has to be through a dialogue. But unfortunately, these educated youth get so brainwashed by the ISIS type ideology that is being streamed to them through various social medias and other places that they start believing this to be the truth. And this leads them to sacrifice their careers, this leads them to get away from the path of a normal citizen and get into a militant's role.
In the past, there are many like Masood who migrated from Pakistan to the West and engaged in criminal and terror incidents. In December last year, 28-year-old Usman Khan, a convicted Islamist terrorist who spent part of his teens in Pakistan and released from a UK prison, stabbed two people to death in a terror attack on London Bridge. He was inspired by the ideology of Al-Qaeda terror group and was previously sentenced to 16 years in prison term for his role in the London Stock Exchange bombing in 1990. In September 2017, police in Spain's northern Catalan city of Lleida arrested 25-year-old Pakistani men suspected of promoting terrorism and militant propaganda on social media networks. He was detained after 16 people were killed in attacks in the Catalan capital Barcelona and another Catalan coastal town. The militant Islamic State group had claimed the attacks.
It is the madrasas that are the root cause of all these ills that you see today that are happening in the Islam religion. Here the children come at the ages of 5 upwards, and they in their impressionable age are being brainwashed by these preachers over there who are teaching them something which is totally alien and totally hate mongering, which makes their mindset totally against other religions and against other human beings who are not following Islam.
Various terrorist organizations with the constant support of the Pakistani military and its notorious intelligence agency, the ISI, are preparing a new generation of terrorist leaders taking the reins of jihad in their hands. A number of Pakistani Islamist terror organizations such as Harkat al-Jihad-e-Islami, Harkat al-Mujahideen, Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan have worked under Al-Qaeda sponsorship since 2001 and have all pledged allegiance to ISIS Caliph Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi since 2014.
They are making their mindset into jihadis. They are using this as a breeding ground to create jihadis and militants who would then go around the world to fight what they call as the holy war or the jihad.
Pakistan has allowed its territory to become a staging point for terror activities. Its radicalized youth often attempt to unleash terror acts in various parts of the world that pose a great threat to global peace and security. However, with the overhauled security policies and massive battle launched against terrorism, security agencies in the West have been successful in thwarting a large number of terror plots hatched by Pakistan-backed terrorists.
The Financial Action Task Force has given Pakistan a 4-month reprieve for meeting a deadline set by it to stop financing terrorist groups based on its soil. Unfortunately, neglecting FATF guidelines, Pakistan continues to pursue the same attitude and funding and sheltering terrorists to carry out terror activities in India. Here's a report.
Pakistan-backed terrorists created mayhem in Jammu and Kashmir on May 21st as they attacked security forces in Pulwama district, killing a policeman. This was the second attack on the security forces in the Kashmir Valley in 2 days. Such terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir has once again brought to the fore the terrorist threat emanating from across the border. Pakistan continued to provide shelter, training and ammunition to terrorists in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and use them as proxies against India. Analysts are of the view that these terrorists are not only responsible for creating mayhem in India, but in Pakistan also, where civilians remain victims of terror.
After the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan, Pakistan wanted to create a regime in Afghanistan which should be totally subservient to Pakistan and should take orders from Pakistan. In order to support this regime, they kept sending Taliban to carry out attacks along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. And at that area resulted in creation of a counter force which came in a combination of several terrorist groups called Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, who resist this pressure on the part of Pakistan and are against the policies of Pakistani government and the Pakistani army. Their mission is to overthrow the Pakistani army and overthrow the Pakistani state. And to that extent, Pakistan is now becoming a victim of its own game.
Almost 2 decades ago, Islamabad decided to use Islamist fighters and provided them armed training after the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan. It was aimed to intensify insurgency in the Kashmir Valley and other parts of India. This has attracted a large number of Islamic fundamentalists in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and other tribal areas towards radicalization.
Religious terrorism is playing a huge role in Pakistan. Pakistan's army and the ISI and the civil dispensation are using religious fanatics to target Sufis, to target Shias and other minority communities. To that extent, they are suffering hugely at the hands of the Pakistani religious terrorists.
A large number of terror groups, be it Haqqani Network, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, the Taliban and ISIS, have made Pakistan as launching pad. These organizations are behind major terror attacks in India. It is a known fact that these terror activities have taken place at the behest of Pakistan's deep state, that is, the ISI and the military. On various occasions, the Pakistan army officials found sharing a stage together with dreaded terrorists, which indicates the close relationship between the military and terror groups in the country.
Pakistani state is the largest sponsor of terrorism in the world. It has created several groups of soldiers who are terrorists to help it carry out terrorist attacks in Afghanistan, India, the other countries and the world. Some of them are LAT, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, etc. And also uses similar terrorist groups who tend to operate against the interests of the Pakistani army and the ISI. For example, they are the ones who carry out attacks in Fatah area and along the Afghan-Pakistan border against the TTP, which is Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, who is standing up against the Pakistani regime.
Pakistan has failed to realize that supporting terror groups can never settle disputes, especially with its neighbors. Despite international pressure to act against terror groups on its soil, it continued to remain in the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force. Its countless promises on complying with the 27-point action plan of FATF sound hollow, as UN-designated terrorists like Hafiz Saeed and Saeed Salahuddin roam freely. They are still giving hate speeches against India and raise funds to carry out terror activities in India's Jammu and Kashmir.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@anin.com. This is Shreya Savijay signing off on the behalf of entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.